Every town is my hometown, and everyone is my kin. Thank you.
The honourable member for Kitchener Centre.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday I heard over and over again the new attempt at a temporary solution on inflation. How can this government justify being responsible for driving up inflation and then giving a benefit because people cannot afford to buy groceries and their essentials on their own? Think about what this message actually is. Here, let the Liberal government help you pay for groceries and basic necessities because of the Liberal policies making it more expensive. When will they learn to stop trying to buy their way out of problems? Learn the lesson. Get rid of the taxes and the splash the cash spending driving inflation. Cut fuel standards tax, the industrial carbon tax, and the food packaging tax. And stop the billions of dollars in misspent money. Fiscal responsibility keeps inflation in check. When will they take our advice and implement real solutions to the affordability problem in Canada? When?
The honourable member for Rimouski-Lamatapedia. Mr. Speaker, Quebec has lost a great explorer. Robert Grenier, a leading figure in underwater archaeology, has passed away. He worked for Parks Canada since the 1960s and developed expertise that was recognized worldwide and was even praised on the cover of National Geographic. His greatest achievement was the discovery off the coast of Labrador of the San Juan, a 16th century whaling ship that proved the presence of the Basque in America even before New France. He also initiated the research that led to the discovery of the ships from John Franklin's ill-fated expedition in the Arctic. The man, once compared by Minister to Indiana Jones, certainly shared his charisma and lust for life. The difference was that he fought at UNESCO to protect sunken treasures from adventurers. On behalf of the Bloc Québécois, I offer my condolences to his wife, Caroline, his children, Pierre and Mathilde, who courageously accompanied him through his illness until his soul set sail one last time. Thank you.
The honourable member for Mississauga, Erin Mills.
Mr. Speaker, it's with a heavy heart that I rise today to honor Stephen Biss, a friend, a respected member of our Mississauga Erin Mills community who passed away suddenly and peacefully. Stephen was a dedicated community builder who believed in public service. I loved our conversations about public health and the environment and so many more. He gave more than 4 decades of his life to the practice of criminal law, and even in retirement, he continued to mentor, advise, advocate, always standing up for others. I was fortunate to know Stephen as a friend, and I will always value the warmth, his insight, and the genuine love for his community. On behalf of Mississauga Erin Mills, I extend my deepest condolences to his daughters Karen, to his daughters Michelle and Renee, to his wife Karen, and the entire family. The legacy that he has will live on forever. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Skeena-Bulkley Valley.
Mr. Speaker, Skeena-Bulkley Valley is ready to build. Conservatives worked with government to pass Bill C-5 so the Prime Minister could approve projects quickly while cutting red tape. But after a year of speeches, no single project has been approved. No barriers have been removed. Skeena-Bulkley Valley is already contributing and is asking for a chance to invest, build, and work. Stewart Rail and Port Expansion, Talcott Coal Project, Indaco Mine, and Terrace Industrial Lands are real projects that mean real jobs, stronger business, and stable futures for families in our regions. When we build and export, incomes rise and life becomes more affordable. That is why today we introduced a motion to pass the Canadian Sovereignty Act that will repeal federal measures that block and punish project development and reward hardworking Canadians who build and invest and protect Canadian innovation and our economic sovereignty. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Compton Stansted. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We recognize that the cost of food weighs heavily on the budgets of Canadian families, including those in my riding, and our government presented concrete measures to ease this pressure. The new Canadian Grocery and Essentials benefit will put up to $1,890 back into the pockets of families in my riding. And I would also like to underscore the extraordinary work of organizations in my riding who work to combat food insecurity and strengthen food banks, local funds, and help families in my riding. So I'd like to underscore the work of Moisson Saint-François, La Cuisine Collective Haute Saint-François, Terre Libre, and others who have projects with this program that allows them to invest, that we've invested an additional $20 million in.
Every Canadian knows the feeling, standing in the grocery aisle, looking at the total and wondering, how did it get this expensive? Canada is #1 in the G7 for food inflation, and our food inflation is double what it is in the US. This is in large part due to the industrial carbon tax and the liberal fuel standards tax, which both drive up the tax for farmers, truckers, and everyone who brings food to the table. Families see the impact at the grocery store. Beef is up nearly 17%, apples up 10%, coffee up 41%, and baby formula up 6%. Groceries are projected to cost families an extra $1,000 compared to last year, and Canadian families just can't keep up. Conservatives are ready to fast-track real solutions, lower food prices by eliminating the industrial carbon tax, scrapping the fuel standards tax, boosting competition in grocery chains, and cutting red tape for farmers. Will the Liberal government act now or keep asking Canadian families to absorb these costs?
The honourable member for Davenport.
Mr. Speaker, in my riding of Davenport, I have veterans who served in Afghanistan. When I ask them about their service, the answer is simple. They are proud to have served. They are proud Canadians. Let the record be clear. Canada is a founding member of NATO. We have participated in nearly every mission since 1949. More than 40,000 Canadians served in Afghanistan. 158 made the ultimate sacrifice. Our soldiers did not stand back. They led allied combat operations in Kandahar, one of the most dangerous provinces in the country. And today, Canada leads NATO's largest forward presence in Latvia with 2,200 troops, standing firm against Russian aggression. Our sailors, soldiers, and aviators are second to none. Canada shows up. Canada leads. Canada keeps its word. As our Prime Minister reminded the world last week, Canada thrives because we are Canadian. To our veterans, your sacrifice will never be forgotten. Thank you.
Hear, hear.
The honourable member for Nanaimo Ladysmith.
Conservatives worked with this government to pass Bill C-5, Mr. Speaker, giving the Prime Minister extraordinary power to approve major projects quickly. The same spirit of cooperation should bring this House together to support the Canadian Sovereignty Act, which cuts delays for everyone and puts Canadians back in control of our destiny. The Major Projects Office is supposed to be a workaround for government delay, a fast pass for anointed projects. But the Prime Minister's words are moving faster than the work, turning the MPO into another bottleneck to prosperity. This is where our Sovereignty Act comes in. Productivity is inseparable from affordability. When we build more and export more, productivity rises. Higher productivity drives higher incomes, making life more affordable. Canadians should not be forced to choose between moving major projects forward and getting government out of the way. This is why we put forward the Sovereignty Act, and we call on all parties to support it.
The honourable member for Don Valley West.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday's news of the passing of Kirsty Duncan, the former member for Etobicoke North, reverberated throughout the offices and corridors of this Canadian Parliament. We are all grieving the loss of a thoughtful, vibrant, intelligent, strong, and kind person who served Canadians with grace and kindness. Kirsty Duncan stood out in our small class of New Liberal MPs in 2008. While kind, we learned to never mistake her kindness for her strength, her feistiness, and her principled nature. She brought academic rigor and curiosity and science to everything she did. She was a fierce defender of multiculturalism, a voice for those who face economic challenges. For athletes and artists, she called for respect, dignity, and accountability so they could work and play without fear or exploitation. She loved Highland dancing and roared with laughter when she saw me trying to do it. She was, as always, encouraging despite my limitations. To Sven, her husband, her partner in life, our hearts are broken with yours, but our resolve to live each day a little bit more like Kirsty lived hers is even stronger now. And to young women who saw in her a model for sport, dance, academics, politics, and public service, let's all commit to being just a little more noble, a little kinder. Godspeed to you, my friend Kirsty.
Oral questions. Question orale, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Prime Minister had a photo up in a grocery store, but there was something missing. There were no prices. He asked his PMO buddies to go into the grocery store to remove all the price tags so that he could hide from Canadians how much groceries cost after 1 year, because he's doubled inflation for food, which is to the highest rate in the G7. These taxes and inflationist deficits are a hidden cost. Instead of hiding costs, why not reduce costs? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Of course, that seems to be this new spirit of cooperation that we keep hearing about. Yesterday, we saw cooperation. Meeting with the Premier of Ontario, for example, that was collaboration for the automotive sector, to collaborate in order to build affordable housing. I could perhaps present him to the Premier of Ontario if he wants to. He just has to let me know.
Leader of the Opposition.
Bel exemple.
Well, that's a great example of this Prime Minister. It's all illusions. He has meetings instead of having results. We need results. He promised that food would be more affordable. But 1 year later, food inflation has doubled. Doubled. It's twice as much as in the States. It's the worst food inflation in the G7. And yesterday, he tried to emulate this by removing price tags in grocery stores. If prices are so terrible that he needed to hide them from Canadians, is his record as terrible as that? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, over the last few months, the government has done a lot. We are working to make the school food program permanent. Second of all, we have reduced taxes for 22 million Canadians. Yesterday, we created a new benefit that will increase the amount of money in the pockets of families, up to $1,800 a year.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Prime Minister held a photo op at a grocery store in front of food, but there was just one thing missing. The price tags. He had ordered his PMO staff to literally show up early at the grocery store and remove the price tags. They're back up today. We went and checked, and they're really high. In fact, grocery prices are rising faster in Canada than in any other G7 country, twice as fast as in the States, twice as fast as when he took office. Mr. Speaker, the hidden costs that this Prime Minister imposes on inflation will not go away because he tries to take down the price tag. Why won't he take down the price?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday, before I had lunch with the Premier of Ontario, I had a long meeting with the Premier of Ontario. I would like to introduce the Leader of the Opposition to the Premier of Ontario so we can learn something about cooperation on housing, cooperation on building the best auto sector in the world, cooperation on good jobs for Ontarians and Canadians, cooperations on rising wages, which have risen faster than inflation every single month of this year.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, if Canadians could eat the Prime Minister's photo op, there wouldn't be an empty stomach in the country. He's had lots of meetings. He's had signing ceremonies. He's had grand announcements and new bureaucracies. But what he hasn't delivered is real results. His biggest promise was that he was going to make food prices affordable. Since that time, food inflation has doubled, the worst in the G7. It's the result of his hidden taxes, the inflation tax from his deficits, the fuel taxes on farmers, fertilizers, and farm equipment. Why won't he, instead of trying to hide the price tag, why won't he get rid of the cost?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, here's something we don't hide. Here's something we're proud of. Over 140,000 new jobs net created since the summer. More in the United States. Here's something else. Wages rising every single month of this government faster than the rate of inflation. Here's something else. We cut taxes for 22 million Canadians. We put in place a national food program for 400,000 kids, making it permanent. Yesterday, we announced a benefit for 12 million Canadians, $1,800.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians have never had it so good that 2.2 million of them are lined up at food banks. One of the reasons is that we can't get our resources to market. Now, while the Prime Minister, we worked in collaboration to give him exceptional powers to get things done. Instead, he spent the time on photo ops, signing ceremonies, re-announcing projects that had long ago been approved. His new bureaucracy, the project's office has not approved a single new project. So why won't he get out of the way and accept our plan by passing the Canadian Sovereignty Act today?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, part of how we move this country forward is collaborating with provinces and territories. The great territory of Nunavut. I'd like to welcome the Premier of Nunavut is here. One thing we've done in 6 months is agree on Great Bay Point, which is going to open up Arctic sovereignty, open up the future of this country, make Canada strong.
I assume the Prime Minister meant that the Premier of Nunavut was in the area, not in the House. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, of course we love the Premier of Nunavut, but all the Prime Minister has is meetings, announcements, signing ceremonies, but never shovels in the ground. Never results that matter to people. Not a single pipeline approved. His project office has not approved a single new project. In fact, he hasn't removed a single pre-existing Liberal bureaucracy or single pre-existing anti-development law. All he has to do is get out of the way, adopt the Canadian Sovereignty Act so that we can get building and become self-reliant and strong.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, last time we were in this House, the member opposite stood up and had a semblance or a reduction of the MOU with Alberta. The Alberta MOU is not consistent with the Sovereignty Act. The Alberta MOU will build a pipeline to Tidewater. The Alberta MOU will build carbon capture and storage. It will build nuclear. It'll build data centers. It will build our future. The Sovereignty Act will destroy it.
The honourable for Bailey-Chambly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to wish you the best for 2026. My best wishes for everyone as well. But I have certain concerns, very tangible concerns for Quebec businesses and Canadian businesses and for jobs in Quebec and Canada. A speech doesn't generate money. It doesn't generate jobs. it doesn't protect jobs. So I understand that there are no negotiations on trade with the Americans, and there hasn't been any movement on tariffs, while President Trump is stirring up the worst of concerns. Can the Prime Minister guarantee that there are normal negotiations and cordial negotiations with Washington, D.C.? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the world has changed. Washington has changed. There's nearly nothing normal in the US now, and that's the truth. We are still having continued discussions with our American partners. I had a 30-minute conversation with the President of the United States yesterday evening, and I had discussions about trade with him. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. I understand that the US has changed, and I'm still very concerned about this. It worries me. The diversification of markets is something that we are for. We have been proposing it for years, but we don't want to renounce Quebec values that resemble Canadian values, I hope. In a predictable future, the US will still represent close to 3/4 of our trade. Jobs are at risk. Businesses are at risk. Does he guarantee that in July 2026 there will be a new trade agreement with the States? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, that is the intention of the US, Mexico, and Canada. Official negotiations will begin in a few weeks. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. I therefore infer that this should be reassuring. Beyond certain issues, most export jobs in Quebec and Canada that depend on American companies, there's something serious that's happening. That's what we're asking. If the Prime Minister knows the history of Quebec less than the economy, he negotiated with China, so why not remove tariffs on Quebec pork? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the government of China has made commitments to reduce tariffs on pork, on beef, and on other Canadian foodstuffs. Second point, the agreement with China reduces tariffs on canola, and generally, this is a $700 billion market for our farmers and producers.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
The Prime Minister now has sweeping powers to approve major projects, powers made possible with the help of Conservatives on this side of the House, and yet, with all of that authority, all of those promises, there's nothing done. No progress on resources, no pipelines, no action on internal trade barriers. The formula isn't complicated. When Canada builds more and exports more, Canadians earn more and life gets more affordable. So when does the action start? When do the shovels hit the ground? When do paychecks start growing for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister responsible for Canada-US trade.
Here, here. Mr. Speaker, our colleague knows very well this government was elected to build a Canadian economy that's more resilient. This government was elected to get major projects done. That's exactly what the Prime Minister and my colleagues have done. Maybe she missed the announcement with the Premier of Ontario. Important investments, for example, in nuclear energy in Darlington. Perhaps she doesn't understand that we're investing in port infrastructure as important as Contrecoeur or Prince Rupert. And Mr. Speaker, there's good news coming in the next number of weeks, and I know she'll celebrate with us.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Speaker, he's right. We do see the announcements. We just don't see the action. And he's very good at running up the word count and terrible at filling in the details. The Prime Minister says he wants to build, and that's good. We agree. So we've done the heavy lifting for him. We put a plan right here in the House of Commons. Repeal the laws that block development, reward businesses and workers that invest in Canada, and protect Canadian innovation. The choice is simple. The Liberals can actually vote to build today, or yet again, they can vote for all talk and no action, just like he did.
Yeah, there you go, Melissa.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we had a very important debate last year about the purported Canada Sovereignty Act. It's called a general election. The Conservatives put that to the people. We put the Prime Minister's plan to build Canada strong, to build it up with our aluminum, with our lumber, with our steel, with our unionized men and women across this country. And guess which plan Canadians selected? We expect a little more intellectual energy from that side. In the meantime, Mr. Speaker, we are going to continue building this country very strong.
The Honourable Member for Kildonan St. Paul.
Thousands of manufacturing jobs have been lost in the last 8 months. Those are the cold, hard facts for thousands of Canadian families under this Prime Minister's leadership. And our party supported Bill C-5 because they promised growth and development. But despite the sweeping powers the Prime Minister has, no new projects have been approved and not a single barrier has been taken down. And meanwhile, Canada is losing investment, innovation and jobs to the U.S., driving down incomes and making life less affordable for Canadian families. Conservatives have made a real proposal with the Canadian Sovereignty Act to remove federal barriers to development, reward Canadians to build and invest here, and protect and raise our incomes here at home. Will they support it?
Yeah.
L'Honorable Ministre de l'Industrie.
We'll always be there to defend our people working in advanced manufacturing. Again, yesterday I was with Premier Ford. We announced what we would be doing to protect our auto workers. And I would like to remember my colleague, which I have a good relationship, to make sure that she understands how much we created jobs since the beginning of September. Actually, 54,000 jobs in September, 67,000 jobs in October, 60,000 jobs also in November, 8,000 in December. We'll continue to grow the economy and create jobs across the country.
The Honourable Member for Kildonan St. Paul.
Speaker, innovators and investors don't make decisions based on government rhetoric. They make them based on predictability, incentives, and whether a country is serious about supporting growth in this country. And right now, the government's lack of innovation strategy is pushing capital south, taking jobs and research and opportunities with it. This weakens Canada's economic sovereignty and makes life more expensive for Canadians. So since the government has no innovation plan of its own, will it support the Canadian Sovereignty Act to stop the bleeding of innovation and jobs to the U.S. and support real growth for Canadian workers?
L'Honorable Ministre des Finances.
I'm sure that my colleague was very busy during Christmas, but she may have missed that Canada is going to be the second fastest growing economy in the G7, Mr. Speaker. That is facts, Mr. Speaker. We are building this country, but I know yesterday I had good news. I have more good news, Mr. Speaker, because in addition to helping 12 million Canadians, Mr. Speaker, with real help with food, with grocery, Mr. Speaker, there's more in what we announced yesterday. We're going to make structural change to make Canada food resilient, Mr. Speaker. We're going to invest in food security. We're going to invest in our country. We're going to make Canada strong together, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton Northwest.
The International Monetary Fund reported today that Canada can grow GDP by 7% or $200 billion by removing internal trade barriers that act like a 9% tariff. Photo op MOUs, speeches, and pizza parlor visits with premiers has not reduced interprovincial trade barriers. The Prime Minister's rhetoric doesn't match reality, and life is becoming less affordable for everyday Canadians. Will the government support the Canadian Sovereignty Act, which incentivizes and gives bonuses to provinces that build across Canada, and repeals federal measures that block and penalize development of natural resources?
Yeah, way to go, Billy.
The Honourable Minister responsible for Canada-US trade.
Mr. Speaker, I'm glad our colleague referenced the important report from the International Monetary Fund, which confirms exactly what the Prime Minister and this government has been saying for many months. Working with provinces to remove interprovincial trade barriers is one of the most significant things we can do to grow the Canadian economy. So I want to thank the Conservatives for having supported in June legislation which removed every federal barrier to internal trade in Canada. And good news, Mr. Speaker, we're meeting the premiers in Ottawa on Thursday to discuss more of what we can do to grow the economy.
The Honourable Member for Prince George, Peace River, Northern Rockies.
We voted for Bill C5 so the Prime Minister could approve projects quickly, but nothing has changed. I was in Yellowknife last week. Diamond mines used to be 20% of NWT's GDP. Only 2 mines are left and 1 will close in March. 1,600 resource-related jobs have been lost in the last 10 years. But our Canadian Sovereignty Act will repeal federal blocks and penalties to development and reward territories and provinces, businesses and workers who build and invest right here in Canada. When we export and build more, incomes go up and life becomes more affordable. Will you support it, Prime Minister?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, Canada has one of the most vibrant, important, imposing mining sectors in the world. Toronto is one of the most important mining finance centers in the world. The Build Canada Act will permit us to accelerate work on mines like Crawford, on mines like and on LNG projects, and on critical minerals, and on the Sisson mine in New Brunswick, on mines right across this country, and the minerals of the future, and nickel and minerals that keep Canadians working. Minerals is going to be a core part of our economic plan going ahead.
The Honourable Member for Bow River.
Mr. Speaker, Canada used to be a nation of builders. We used to stand on our own 2 feet. Instead, Liberals are standing in our way when Canada should be strong, united, and ready to build. Conservatives worked with this government to pass Bill C5, handing them powers to approve major projects faster. But the PM's rhetoric hasn't matched reality. Not a single new project approved, not a single barrier removed. That's why today Conservatives introduced the Canadian Sovereignty Act to repeal federal measures that block and punish development, reward provinces, workers, and businesses that build and invest in Canada, and protect Canadian innovation.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
We are proud to support our builders. We're proud to support the skilled trades. We're proud to support Leuna, to support the carpenters, to support IBEW, to support the iron workers. Mr. Speaker, we are building infrastructure. We are building major projects in the national interest. We're building homes, Mr. Speaker. We're using Canadian steel, Canadian lumber, Mr. Speaker, in consultation with Indigenous peoples. Mr. Speaker, we're expanding our trade. We're investing in innovation. We are building the strongest economy in the G7. When will the Conservatives get on board? When will they stop getting in the way?
L'honorable député.
The Honourable Member for Shefford. Mr. Speaker, yet another IT fiasco in the government. This time, seniors are the victims because they're struggling to receive their old age pension since the implementation of the new CRM software. Some seniors have been waiting for their pensions since May, 9 months without benefits. Other seniors have received extra checks who, even if they do not cash them, will still have an impact on the amount of their future benefits. What is the minister doing to finally resolve this fiasco?
Every person in this country deserves to receive their benefits on time and error-free. Our department works very closely with individuals all across this country to make sure that if there are challenges in receiving their benefits, that we fix those challenges and we get those out the door as quickly as possible. And we'll continue this work, Mr. Speaker, to make sure those benefits are delivered quickly and properly.
The Honourable Member for Shefford. Mr. Speaker, this is the Phoenix fiasco for seniors. And the worst part is that the federal government was alerted to this in a report from the Public Service Union back in June. So the federal government has known since June that it is unable to pay old age pensions properly. And even today, absolutely nothing has been resolved. How much longer will pensioners have to wait before the Liberals finally take this problem seriously?
L'honorable leader du gouvernement à la Chambre.
Mr. Speaker, allow me to be a bit skeptical when it comes to the MP's fire. IT bugs happen. Here we have a successful piece of software that has updated a piece of software that dated from the 70s. And so now seniors can self-serve online and over the phone. Payments are even quicker. If there are issues, we'll iron them out. The honourable member for Mégantic-L'Érable, Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, it's been almost a year since the Prime Minister took office, and despite all his fine rhetoric, ever more Quebecers no longer have the money to pay rent. In Quebec, 20% of Quebecers have admitted to being unable to pay their rent for at least 1 month. In my region, about 30%. In Montreal, about 25%. The Prime Minister promised to get things done at an unprecedented pace since the Second World War. Can he say why the only things that are moving so fast are grocery prices and rent? The Honourable Minister of Finance. I know it's Tuesday, but we still have great news to share because my colleague must have misheard us yesterday. We've announced a historic announcement with the Prime Minister of Canada, the new Canada Groceries and Essentials benefit. Mr. Speaker, 12 million Canadians, people in his riding, who will now receive more money in their pockets to fight against the cost of living. On this side of the House, we're convinced that by building strong communities, we'll build a strong Canada together. The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable, Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, I find that a bit funny because the same Minister in Finance who said in 2023,
5 new measures will stabilize food price soon.
As you know, the honourable member cannot name a member of this House. The member may continue.
Champagne praise, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, this minister said that prices were going to stabilize. Why did he hide Canadians that stabilization for him means we're going to stabilize until it's double what the inflation rate is in the States? We have the highest food inflation in the G7. When they speak, why does not never lead to true actions for Canadians? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, instead of trying to find quotes, he should watch TV, because yesterday he would have seen that with the Prime Minister of Canada, we announced this new benefit for that reason. Perhaps it seems anodyne for my colleague, but $1,800 makes a hell of a difference for Canadian families. This is a serious measure for a serious moment in our history. And I know that my colleagues can speak during the answer, but people watching us back home know that on this side of the House, we'll always be here to help them in difficult times. The honourable member for Montmorency-Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, 1 out of 5 Quebecers find it hard to pay their rent, which is causing young families to struggle. In regions, municipalities are trying to do what they can. In Baie-Saint-Paul, taxes have been reduced to try and reduce rent increases in the Malbaie. Municipal spending has been reduced to increase purchasing power. Can the Liberal government finally realize that the last 10 years of policies have harmed purchasing power, have fueled the fires of inflation, and will they be wise for once, and will they work with the Conservatives to implement a true plan to make life more affordable? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary of State for Nature. Mr. Speaker, one cannot control every single price in every single store. We know that there are significant challenges for Canadians. I'd like to quote the Mayor of Quebec, who said that what is important to do in difficult situations is to give people the choice. What we are currently doing is giving purchasing power so that they can make choices. That will help 12 million Canadians. It will give couples over $1,800 this year and $1,400 for the years to come. 900 for individuals and 700 in the years to come.
The honourable member for Montmorency-Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, in 2026, a family of 4 is going to have to pay $1,700 more for food, more than last year, and that's affecting everyone. But after provoking inflation with their policies, the Liberals are feeling bad. Yesterday, they announced apology checks for some families to give them a little bit of money to help them pay groceries that are far too expensive. When will this Liberal government recognize the failure of their inflationary policies and finally work with the Conservatives to lower the cost of living? It's time to give some breathing room to Quebecers and Canadians. The Honourable Minister of Indigenous Services. Mr. Speaker, Our government has passed new affordability measures. Families in my riding are going to see a direct impact, like the dad who's going to be able to pay for lunch for his kid is going to be able to pay for skates, for tournaments. These are things that are going to affect Quebecers and Canadians every day. Even in my family, my uncle, my cousin are going to hunt for traditional food with help in their pockets to ensure a better quality of life. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Richmond North Athabasca. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our seniors built our country. They've paid taxes their entire lives. And some have to wait up to 8 months before receiving their OAS. That's unacceptable. There are data that's missing. There are millions of seniors who saw their files go to a new software system and things aren't working very well. Since 2015, hundreds of thousands of new bureaucrats have been hired and things aren't working. Bureaucrats are saying that training hasn't been sufficient for the new software. We need to see courage. Who in this Liberal government is going to have the courage to stand up and fix the problem for our seniors? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, obviously, if seniors have had problems with their OAS checks, that's unfortunate. The member should speak to the government and we will try to fix the problem. But listen, that's enough. We transformed an IT system. It's a huge project. We replaced software from the 1970s with new software, which allows Canadians to self-manage their own files, to sign up for OAS. So, that's enough, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to the fear campaigns from the opposition.
From Markham Unionville.
Mr. Speaker, while I now sit on a different side of the House, my priority remains the same, standing up for my constituents and making sure that concerns are acted on. Last fall, I held a crime prevention town hall in Markham Unionville. What I heard clearly and repeatedly was concern about auto thefts and home invasions and the impact these crimes have on families' sense of safety. Mr. Speaker, can the minister outline how Canada's new government is strengthening public safety and ensuring
Who's taking? You can. Yeah, okay. The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
I want to welcome my colleague to the government benches where he's already making a real impact, Mr. Speaker. In 2024, we had an auto theft summit and created a plan, Mr. Speaker.
That's right.
And thanks to the dedication of law enforcement across this country and focused federal action, we are seeing a downward trend on auto thefts across this country. But on top of that, Mr. Speaker, we presented a bail and sentencing reform, which is going to people who commit auto theft or home invasions face serious jail time, Mr. Speaker. Right. This is serious leadership for a serious matter, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for New Tecumseh Gwillimbury.
Mr. Speaker, just last week, the Prime Minister stood at a podium in Davos in a room full of billionaires and global elites and lectured the world about
From the top, please.
Picking up from where I left off, Mr. Speaker, lectured the world about honesty and naming reality. Well, here's a reality check for him. Canada now leads the G7 in food inflation. Families here at home are paying more for groceries because of Liberal policies that tax fuel, fertilizer, and food production. If the Prime Minister thinks honesty matters, will he admit today his policies are driving up food prices?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, the first thing, Mr. Speaker, is I know we want to acknowledge the member's acknowledgement of our Prime Minister's fantastic speech.
Right on.
At the World Economic Forum. I know Canadians were very relieved when the Leader of the Opposition said, never, ever, ever shall I or any of my ministers ever go to Davos, to that World Economic Forum. You wouldn't want to run across the President of the United States or the President of Ukraine or members of the economic or any of the investors in Canada. So
Okay, the Honourable Member for Newton-Tecumseh-Gwillimbury.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians wouldn't need any rebates if the Liberals hadn't driven up grocery prices in the first place. So long as they keep imposing the industrial carbon tax, the 17 cents a litre fuel tax on Canadian food production, prices will keep increasing. Conservatives are ready to fast-track bills that will reverse the highest food inflation in the G7. Will this government stand with us, introduce measures to make food affordable again, or will they keep just driving up food prices?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, despite that bluster, we're focused on affordability for Canadians. We cut taxes for 22 million of them. We cut the consumer carbon tax. We cut the GST for first-time homebuyers. And just yesterday, our Prime Minister announced the groceries and essentials benefit, putting up to $1,900 in the pockets of working families. Time to stop the obstruction. Let us build Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Quebec-Mactaquac.
Mr. Speaker, food security is national security. Statistic Canada confirms food inflation has hit 6.2%, the highest in the G7. It now costs $17,600 to feed a family of four, $1,000 more than last year. With food prices rising twice as fast as in the U.S., Canadians know why. The industrial carbon, fuel, and packaging taxes drive up the cost of farm equipment, fertilizer, and trucking. Will the government move now to eliminate these taxes, boost grocery competition, and cut the red tape on farmers? Yes or no?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, that member's riding wants to know why he voted against every affordability measure that we have put forward. Mr. Speaker, just yesterday, our Prime Minister announced a groceries and essentials benefit that will put up to $1,900 in the pockets of working families. Time for that member and his party to stop the obstruction, get behind us, and build Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Quebec-Mactaquac.
Mr. Speaker, people in my riding across this country are tired of them taking far more money out of their back pockets than putting in their front pockets. Food banks now see 2.2 million visits every month. Food prices are rising twice as fast as when the Prime Minister first took office. The Liberals' own reports admit that fuel standard taxes at 7 cents a litre today and rising to 17 cents, hitting rural Canadians the hardest. I ask again, will the government finally act to remove these taxes, increase grocery competition, and support farmers? Or will it keep forcing Canadians to pay the highest food inflation in the G7?
Honourable Minister of Women and Gender Equality.
Mr. Speaker, speaking of food banks Canada welcomes the introduction of the Canada Green Groceries and Essentials benefit, calling it an important step to help people facing rising affordability pressures. While the members opposite obstruct real progress, we understand the affordability that is top of mind for Canadians, and this is going to help 12 million Canadians. That's incredible, and that's nearly $1,900 that will help additional support for families of four. That will help mothers with groceries, helping them with essentials at home, and helping with their kids at school. Mr. Speaker, this is real progress and real change.
The Honourable Member for Hastings, Lennox and Addington, Tyendinaga.
Mr. Speaker, stats can confirm what Canadians feel every single day. Life is more expensive. Fact, Canada is now leading the G7 in food inflation. Fact, Food prices in Canada are rising twice as fast as they are in the US. Fact, nearly 2.2 million people visit food banks in Canada in a single month. Mr. Speaker, rising food prices are hitting Canadians hard. Conservatives will support legislation that cuts red tape on farmers so they and Canada can grow. The question is, will the government table it?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, for a party that talked about cost of living and helping families for months and months and months to stand up and fight against things that will help families, it's just kind of hard to believe. But Canadians are watching, and they're watching from the riding of that member, fighting against the very things that will help. And let me tell you what the Roots to Harvest Community Food Center said in my riding. They said, as a community organization, we look forward to providing predictability at a time when community members are struggling to meet their day-to-day needs. That's how we are partnering with organizations and Canadians to make sure that they have the safety net they deserve, and so does her riding.
The Honourable Member for Hastings, Lennox and Addington, Kayandinaga.
Our goal, Mr. Speaker, is to help stop the struggle. Taxes like the industrial carbon tax and the fuel standards tax are directly contributing to the rising cost of food. They're directly and negatively impacting our farmers' ability to affordably grow, produce, and transport the food we need to survive. Removing these taxes will help Canadian families afford groceries and farmers to produce them.
That's right.
Mr. Speaker, will the government introduce legislation to eliminate the industrial carbon tax, eliminate this fuel standards tax, and cut red tape for farmers?
The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change and Nature.
Mr. Speaker, there actually was a study about the impact of the industrial carbon price on food prices, and the result was that it was about 0. So if we're going to talk about real things, let's talk about how we're going to help farmers. Let's actually talk about how the canola farmers support the clean fuel regulations. Are they standing against the canola farmers? We are there to support our farmers. We are there to support Canadians. And I hope that they will be there to support our groceries and essentials benefit, because that will be helping 12 million Canadians in all of our communities.
Yes. The Honourable Member for Algonquin, Renfrew, Pembroke.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals are determined to keep their industrial carbon tax, even though they know it's making food more expensive. Another new carbon tax hikes the price of gas by 7 cents a litre, with another 10 cents a litre to come. This directly jacks up the price of food. Will the government axe the hidden carbon taxes so people can afford to eat?
Great question. Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Low-income seniors in Esquimalt-Saanich-Sooke have been asking their government to take action to help fight the rising cost of groceries, and we listened. We're helping with up to $950 of food and goods for low-income single seniors with the groceries and essentials benefit. We are also tackling the root causes by developing a national food insecurity strategy to improve seniors' access to affordable, nutritious food.
Sir.
Meanwhile, the Conservatives are blocking everything we do, and they have no good reason for it, just fake news.
The Honourable Member for Algonquin, Renfrew, Pembroke.
Mr. Speaker, everyone likes a check in the mail, but those checks are written on borrowed money, and they're going to have to pay it back with interest.
That's right.
And Mr. Speaker, last week we learned what these Liberals have been denying all along. For food inflation is real, and it's the worst in the G7. So while Canadians are struggling to put food on the table, a nice little check in the mail may help with a week's groceries. But it's borrowed money, and they'll have to pay it back with interest. Will the government finally do the right thing and axe the hidden carbon taxes so Canadians can have some real relief?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Mr. Speaker, we are controlling what we can, and we are helping Canadians where they are. We have increased OAS for seniors over 75. We have protected OAS, ensuring it's indexed to inflation, and we just guaranteed that low-income seniors will get the help that they need to fight rising food costs with the new groceries and essentials benefit. It will buy up to $950 worth more of food for a single low-income senior, and we are also tackling the root causes by developing a national food insecurity strategy to improve seniors' access to affordable and nutritious food. And what are Conservatives doing? They're trying to block the real action that Canadians are asking for.
The Honourable Member for Similkameen, South Okanagan, West Kootenay.
Mr. Speaker,
Canadians are shocked by their grocery bills. That's because Canada is seeing the worst food inflation in the G7. Paychecks can't keep up with prices, yet the Liberals are burdening our farms with fuel taxes and red tape. We need affordability from farm to table. Conservatives are ready to fast-track any bill that will reverse the highest inflation in the G7. Will Liberals immediately introduce legislation that cuts red tape and taxes for farmers?
The Secretary of State for Sport.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. There was actually a study on the impact that industrial carbon pricing has on the cost of food, and the result of that study was that it has a 0% impact on the cost of groceries, Mr. Speaker. The number one cause of food inflation is actually climate change, Mr. Speaker, and you only have to talk to one farmer to realize that, Mr. Speaker. I recognize fully that food costs too much these days, so our government is here with the Groceries and Essentials benefit, a rebate that the lower income Canadians will receive 4 times a year to assist with these additional grocery prices. The Conservatives have a choice to make. Are they going to support affordability for Canadians or keep standing up for the wealthiest Canadians?
The Honourable Member for Terrebonne. Mr. Speaker, in Quebec, the need for housing and infrastructure is particularly pressing. Our government has acted by putting in place targeted investments to increase access to affordable housing, to support municipalities in their infrastructure projects, and to help build communities. Can the Minister of Infrastructure and Communities please inform this House of the concrete measures put in place in Quebec and explain how they are improving affordability for housing and the quality of infrastructure for communities across Quebec? The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for Terrebonne for her question. Our government and Quebec have concluded an agreement with Build Canada Homes to accelerate the construction of housing and ensure that Quebec's priorities are being met. And with the infrastructure agreement linked to housing, almost $1 billion will be used to modernize the infrastructure necessary for development for new housing across Quebec. It's time to build. It's time to build together.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton Gateway.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians are living in fear in their own neighborhoods as extortion runs rampant right across the country. In British Columbia alone, extortion has increased by nearly 500%, and yet the Liberals continue to ignore this crisis. So much so that just yesterday, the City Council of Surrey desperately passed a unanimous motion asking this government to take some action. No more empty announcements, no more meetings or town halls. Canadians need action. Why is this government ignoring the safety of Canadians? When will the Liberals finally work with us to bring in mandatory minimum sentences for extortion to help protect Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, extortion is a real and pressing problem in this country, and that member has an opportunity to do something about it. There are laws being debated in Parliament right now that would make it harder for people charged with extortion-related offences to be released on bail, that would result in deeper and longer sentences for people who are convicted of extortion, and would give new tools to law enforcement who are asking this House to pass the Strong Borders Act on lawful access so they can investigate, charge, and prosecute criminals. Mr. Speaker, the thing that these different measures have in common is that the Conservative Party of Canada has been obstructing them for months. Get with the program, support these important bills, and bring extortion to an end in Canada.
The Honourable Member for Windsor West.
Mr. Speaker, as a former police officer, I know a crisis when I see one. Extortion is out of control. Businesses and families are being threatened, shot at, and shaken down daily. Yet Liberals deny there's a crisis and are dragging their feet. Some municipalities are even asking for a state of emergency to be declared. When will this government stop their hug-a-thug policy, work with Conservatives, restore mandatory minimums, and repeal the catch and release laws, Bill C5 and C75? For crying out loud, do something about this crisis. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Again, through the chair. The Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, In this country, we have life in prison for extortion, and we have mandatory minimum sentences when extortion is committed by organized criminals or with a firearm, Mr. Speaker. We are taking this issue very, very seriously, Mr. Speaker. That's why I've crisscrossed across this country, finding out what is needed and where the gaps are. And Mr. Speaker, everywhere I've gone, police enforcement agencies have asked for lawful access. That was the second measure that we brought to this Parliament, Mr. Speaker, but the Conservatives have been obstructing it every single step of the way. What do they have against catching extortionists, Mr. Speaker?
The honourable member for Brampton West.
Mr. Speaker, extortion is exploding and terrorizing communities across Canada, such as Brampton and Surrey. Homes and businesses are being threatened and shot at. Families are living in fear. Some residents have recently fled the country with their families in fear of their lives. This crime surge cannot become the new normal. Canadians are paying the price. Canadians deserve safety, not excuses. When will this Liberal government take real action to stop extortion, crack down on organized crime, and keep Canadians safe?
The Honourable Minister of Veterans Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, the rise in extortion-related threats, shootings, and intimidation across Ontario and the Lower Mainland is a grave concern. I know how much fear it's causing in families, businesses, and our communities. Our government is advancing expanded legislative powers so law enforcement has the tools they need to effectively combat extortion and organized criminal networks. Political opponents in Surrey put aside their differences to act with urgency. I'm asking the Conservative counterparts, stop obstructing necessary legislation and work with us to provide practical solutions. Our communities need to feel safe at home.
That's right. The honourable member for Milton East, Halton Hills South.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday our Prime Minister and Minister of Finance made an historic announcement outlining concrete steps the government is taking to help life be more affordable for Canadians. Residents in my riding of Milton East, Halton Hills South support our government's ambitious plan to strengthen and diversify the economy, but they know that doing so requires both long-term investments and meaningful immediate supports. They want to know what actions our government is taking to make life more affordable, and if they can count on all members of this House to put politics aside and support affordability for Canadians.
L'Honourable Ministre des Finances.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
My colleague for a great question, Mr. Speaker. In fact, yesterday was an historic moment where we supported Canadians. Mr. Speaker, I can hear the Conservative. They're so happy they're going to put that in a householder, Mr. Speaker. They're going to say to Canadians that now a family of four, Mr. Speaker, will receive $1,890 more to meet the moment, Mr. Speaker. I know the Conservatives in their heart know this is good. They're going to put that in their householder. We're going to help them, Mr. Speaker. Let's build Canada strong together.
The honourable member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, to start the year off on the right foot, I'd like to the member for Markham still owes me $100, so I can't close off my budget for the Conservative Christmas party because he hasn't paid that debt. The member knows that for a question to be considered pertinent, we can't refer to another member, only to government business. So I will give the member a second try because he's a new member. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. After 10 years of chaotic and inflationist Liberal management, the cost of housing has more than doubled in Canada. Yes, you heard right, it's doubled. In Beauce, one family out of five can't afford their rent, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when are the Liberals going to stop feeding inflation? When are they going to work with us and finally deliver a real plan for affordability? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, there's still good news. I know that my Conservative friends need good news. I have good news for my friend. For farmers in Beauce, Mr. Speaker, in yesterday's announcement, there's going to be structural measures. They'll be happy. I spoke with the president of the UPA to ask how we could increase food security in Canada, Mr. Speaker. We're going to work with our farmers. We're going to work with people in the agriculture sector. We're going to work with distributors. We're going to ensure that we have food security across the country, and it's going to mean good news for people in Beauce.
The honourable member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Mr. Speaker, New Democrats just returned from Rankin Inlet, where we witnessed the challenges facing Canadians in the north. We heard stories of 12, 15, 17 people living in a two-bedroom home, of folks on housing wait lists for decades, of extreme food prices from $15 for onions to $28 for orange juice, where there is no hospital, not enough jobs, and unreliable internet. People are experiencing similar issues in communities across Canada. When is this government going to take real action to address them?
You're here. Excellent question.
The Honourable Minister for Northern and Arctic Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Canadians living across the country are going to be benefiting from our new Canada Groceries and Essential benefit. This includes people in Northern and Arctic Canada. This means a family of 4 will receive $1,890 this year. This is significant in the North. This is in addition to increases in the child tax benefit. It's an increase to the National School Food Program, $10 a day daycare. We're taking steps to reduce the cost of living in the North, and we'll continue to work with Northerners to do so.
The honourable member for Nunavut.
Nunavut are seeking reassurances from this government. Nunavut deserve to know how they will be engaged in keeping the Arctic secure. They deserve to be protected and to participate in their own safety. Inuit have the expertise, knowledge, and skills to do so. The federal government creates too many barriers, like not investing in housing and not feeding families, keeping them in poverty. Will the Liberals invest in the people of the Arctic so Inuit too can keep the Arctic secure?
Here, here.
The Honourable Minister of National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, we are working together with our colleagues in the Arctic. We're working together. I had the chance to meet with the Premier of Nunavut just this morning. We're discussing a holistic approach to how we're going to invest in terms of defence, our capacities. Obviously, operational needs will be important, but so will dual use and multi-use investments as we go forward. So these are the kinds of details we're working at. I would appreciate the members' thoughtful, practical suggestions to get it right.
I wish to draw the attention of members to the presence in the gallery of the Honourable Blois Thompson, Premier of Prince Edward Island. I would also draw the attention of members to the presence in the gallery of the Honourable John Mayne, Premier of Nunavut. He is accompanied by several cabinet ministers for Nunavut,